In the Signals of Tomorrow Innovation Lab, 50 designers, artists, technologists and urbanists collaborated to create new innovations addressing societal challenges in Singapore. In developing the lab, we set out to find and connect interesting people, companies and organisations with a stake in the future of Singapore.
I think the vision behind the lab was to create an open platform so that we could engage both design, art and technology communities, but also bring in people directly from Singapore to help kind of co-create and co-ideate around what the future could be like.
To explore scenarios about Singapore's future and then make those tangible through prototypes and experiences, which enables us to pick these futures up, look at them, explore them and question them. We hope to unlock new insights about the future of Singapore and the smart nation.
I think bottom-up smart city projects are really important, and they happen when you engage with local communities and then get them to engage with new technologies, get them to do things differently, act differently.
And I think in reality the smart city is cell phones in people's hands, apps, services, things like that. You can begin to see the rise of the either sharing economy or service economy, depending how you think about it. And that's really affecting the way that people, again, sort of live, work, play in places like Singapore. So that's great because they come from an intrinsically sort of sometimes called user-centered design perspective or citizen-centered perspective.
We've used an interesting blend of methodologies and approaches. The key from my perspective really was to both enable the designers and artists and technologists who are here to be imaginative and creative and develop rich stories about what Singapore could be like in the near future, but also do that with a sufficient amount of framing and substance that they could tell a real story, something that felt realistic, detailed and rich about the people who live here.
The first day is all around developing some scenarios about the near future of Singapore.
Our sort of hypothesis is that as the smart nation becomes smarter, the citizen may become more disconnected. And what we're talking about there is that relationship between citizen and government, but also between citizens within the same community. As things become more automated, that could take the onus off actual citizens.
We were imagining a future, maybe 10 years from now, in which Singaporeans were more interested in being involved in the food that they are eating. And they would kind of benefit from having a communal resource pool in which they could trade information about how to grow their own food in Singapore and in a high-rise context, and also to also be able to redistribute or maybe form a circular economy in which food could be exchanged, like crops that they grow at home could be exchanged.
Well, we took a kind of layered approach, to starting out with information and kind of ideas and trends about what could be happening in Singapore in the next decade. Big picture background things, what's going on with the economy, technology, society, the environment. And against that backdrop, we were able to both elicit from the participants their own observations about where frictions and bright spots in the near future are for them in Singapore. But most importantly, we actually were able to bring in community champions, people who live here, who work day to day with important issues in Singapore, and have them effectively kind of provide the voice of the people.
Then making is central to most things that we do. It's about developing prototypes, it's going through a process, sharing learnings, developing new skills, and making ideas tangible, giving them physical or visual form.
To build a physical manifestation of an idea. It could be a tiny section of that idea, but ultimately it has to have something to do with the idea that we have been exploring. What we do with that is hopefully it becomes something you can demonstrate and it helps you to then talk over the idea, but the most important thing, it becomes a talking point so you can actually assess whether or not the idea has legs, has potential. Things that you didn't expect suddenly become visible to you when you have a tangible object in front of you.
The next stage is about presenting these and trying them through demonstrations, through showcasing, often for us through our festival as Lab, which creates a space in which we can co-create but also demonstrate, trial, test at scale with many people, often across the city. One of these prototype participatory art and design projects, Share and Care, has been awarded funding by FutureEverything to be realised as a full-scale project at FutureEverything Manchester in 2016. Share and Care is a platform to activate the caring economy, enabling people to swap care credits, committing time to help others. Share and Care takes a very Singaporean concept, kampong or community spirit, and presents a rich and scalable concept to realise this globally using blockchain technology.
Every city in the world is missing a kampong spirit because the people from villages, etc., have all moved to these cities. And so naturally there's going to be a sort of missing piece of what their families, their ancestors, they may have experienced. And so this is very much a global issue. It's not just Singapore focused, but the great thing is that it can start here in Singapore and hopefully become global.
So it was very exciting to work with different people from different sectors, technologists, artists, curators, to see how we can create an experience for people to think about the future, and not in a linear way, but in an exponential way.
It has been a treat to be able to go through a process from end to end, starting something with a group, facilitating a process of understanding, ideating, brainstorming, etc., getting to the point where we actually build something and have an idea that we really all believe in and are excited about. That is something you don't often get to do.